Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We have a lot to talk about, including Arsenal's first signing of the summer, which was David Raya. That was confirmed yesterday. We did have a live stream about that. Make sure you do check it out on the channel. It's already live there. And of course, we're going to be talking about Osimhen. We're going to be talking about Victor Gyokeres. We're going to be talking about Riccardo Calafiori. Still, lots of information coming out of Italy on Riccardo Calafiori. Lots of information coming out of Italy on Victor Osimhen. Arsenal still very, very big on those deals. But today, there is also something on Jules Koundé that I didn't actually expect that we would talk about in this live stream. I didn't think that this morning we'd be talking about Jules Koundé. I thought it's a deal that Arsenal were maybe momentarily linked with, and then it would quickly go away. But the Jules Koundé links are still there, and Barcelona have told Arsenal they've got to wait for the Euros to end, but also for the Copa America to end, because Barca have a decision to make. Do they keep Ronald Araujo or do they keep Jules Koundé? Now, for me, when it comes to Jules Koundé, I don't see why Arsenal need him. But we're going to talk about Jules Koundé. Do we need him? Do we really have to sign another right-footed centre-back who can play at right-back? I don't think Arsenal really need Jules Koundé, and I don't believe in the stories anyway. I think the sport in Spain are one of the worst transfer outlets, worst footballing outlets, for you to get a story from. But we'll talk about Jules Koundé as well, and we'll talk about Arsenal's last fixture of the Arsenal's third fixture of pre-season, which was confirmed yesterday. Arsenal will be playing Bournemouth in the US. So lots to get into. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing very, very well. Let me know how your morning is in the comment box below, or wherever you are watching from. If you're watching this on replay, let me know how you're doing, because it's a very beautiful day, 2nd day of July, and Arsenal are making deals and they're making moves on the market right already. Well, so let's start off with the preseason game that has been confirmed. It was confirmed yesterday that Arsenal will play 5 games now in preseason. Yesterday, I told you about the 2 games against Liverpool and Manchester United. Those are happening in July. Now, in July still, we have another game, and that's going to be Arsenal versus Bournemouth. Arsenal versus Bournemouth. So you have 3 games in the US, in Arsenal's US trip. We'll play Man United on the 21st. We'll play Bournemouth on the 24th, and we'll play Liverpool on the 27th. Of July of this month. That means that Arsenal are playing 3 games within 1 week. I don't know whether this is to prepare the lads for what's going to come next season. We're going to have a lot of games to be played. There is the UEFA Champions League having 2 more games in the group stages. You have the Premier League 38 games that have not changed. You have the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. I don't know whether Mikel is trying to grill these players, but also I think it's a very good thing, because we have had so many players last season that didn't get enough game time, and they will need enough game time if Arsenal are going to rely on them. So the likes of Smith Rowe, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, the likes of Jalen Timber, they're going to need to be well tested before we get into the new season, before we can trust them with our season. We've got to trust them. We've got to test them so that we can actually trust them. So 5 games in preseason. I will be doing videos around those games. Don't worry. I'll let you know when they happen. I'll let you know the predicted lineups, match reactions, live watch-alongs. If I find the energy to do watch-alongs, all that content will be coming our way. But Arsenal have confirmed that they will play Bournemouth in their 3rd fixture of July. And that makes it 5 games in preseason, including Lyon and including Bayer Leverkusen as well in August. Right. So let's talk transfers. Let's start off with a very, very interesting story today around Riccardo Calafiori. I think with Riccardo Calafiori, I've reported about him every single day for the last 5 days. And people say I'm not consistent. I'm very consistent. So we've talked about Calafiori every single day for the last 5 days. And let's have another update from Gianluca Di Marzio. So Di Marzio says that Arsenal are hot on the trail of centre-back Riccardo Calafiori, as Bologna technical director Giovanni Sartori says the club will try to keep Calafiori, but if they don't keep him, it is unlikely they want to sell to Juventus, or it's unlikely they sell to Juve. So they want to explore a different market. Giovanni Sartori said, "I don't think he will end up joining Juventus. Probably he will go abroad if we decide to sell him." That is a very interesting situation when it comes to Calafiori and when it comes to and when it comes to this transfer deal. Very, very interesting situation. Very interesting update. Right there, it is. Arsenal are hot on the trail of centre back Riccardo Calafiori, as Bologna technical director Giovanni Sartori says the club will try to keep Calafiori, but if not, it's unlikely he'll go to Juventus, but rather he'll go to a very different market. So if we explore this from Fabrizio Romano, Giovanni Sartori says, "I don't think he will end up joining Juventus. Probably he can go abroad if we decide to sell him this summer." Now, the fear for me when it comes to the Riccardo Calafiori deal is when it comes to Italian players and Juventus, when it comes to Italian players and Roma, Napoli, Inter Milan, AC Milan, it's very hard for you to compete. It's very hard for you to it's very hard for you to grab a player from Italy that is wanted by Juve, that is wanted by Roma. It's not kids play. It's very, very, very difficult. It's very complicated. However, I've reported yesterday that there is a bad relationship between Bologna and Juventus. Bologna are still accusing Juventus of stealing their manager, Thiago Motta. And they were not happy with the way Thiago Motta left Bologna to go to Juventus. They felt like, they still wanted their manager. They still wanted to have their manager, in their hands. But Juve, of course, being Juve and being the big club they are, they decided to steal the manager. Now, the technical director at Bologna says we will not sell to Juventus. If he's going to leave, we want to keep him. If he's going to leave, then he's going to be going to another market abroad. Interesting stuff. The first thing I'm going to say here, guys, is that one, I don't think they'll keep him. I don't think Bologna have the power, the financial muscle, the power to keep Riccardo Calafiori. Deals are going to be like deals. Offers to the player are going to be as many as possible. In the end, I think what will happen is we might see a situation where Riccardo Calafiori himself tells Bologna, "This is the club I want to go to, and I'm not going to stay." And it can happen. Obviously, he's still under contract, but you've seen a few players, push deals out of clubs, including Leandro Trossard from Brighton, if I may. So I don't think Bologna have any power. They do have the power because they have him on a contract, but I don't think they have the power to stop this deal. I don't think they have the power to say he stays. They might want him to stay, and I think they do want him to stay. They're going to lose a couple of players. I think they'll lose Danny Ndoye, the Swiss winger. They'll lose him. They'll lose Joshua Zirkzee. That is almost certain, to Man United or to AC Milan. That is almost certain. So they would love to keep Calafiori. They would love to keep at least a part of that winning team so that when they go to the UEFA Champions League, they're not totally depleted. But Riccardo Calafiori is one they could have kept last if the Euros didn't happen. So if he doesn't go to the Euros, if he doesn't play with Italy, they could have kept him. Right now, they can't keep him. It's a talent that has been exposed to the world, and clubs are going to do whatever it takes to sign him. I told you yesterday, Chelsea are willing to die with Arsenal. Juventus are willing to die. They're willing to go to the wire to get Riccardo Calafiori. That is how much interest he's actually picking up across clubs in Europe. Now, what does the relationship between Bologna and Juve stand for Arsenal? And does that mean that we are definitely going to sign him because he's not going to Juventus? 100% I would say he's leaving. Now, if Bologna have the power and the resolve to turn down Juventus, and they can also have the power to tell the player that we are not going to sit down and negotiate a deal with Juventus, then I can definitely see Arsenal get him. I can definitely see Arsenal winning this race. We're going to talk about Chelsea and why Chelsea, however much they're good, they might not be big competition for Arsenal. So the reason why I look at this deal as a Juve or Arsenal deal is this. Juventus will have the money to sign Calafiori. They have just signed Kefren Thuram, I think from France. Kefren Thuram, one of the best young CDMs and DMs in world football right now. So they have signed Kefren Thuram. They're doing a couple of deals. I think Juve are trying to rebuild, and Calafiori is part of that rebuild. But if Bologna are saying we are not selling to Juventus, we don't want to agree a deal with Juventus, we don't want anything to do with Juve, then looks like Juve are in a bad situation. Because usually, when you think about the deals that we have been, trying to do recently, the Vlahovic deal, Fiorentina wanted to sell to Juventus. The Locatelli deal, 100% Sassuolo wanted to sell to Juventus. So you think about those deals, and the common denominator is that Italian clubs want to keep their talents inside the Italian Serie A. They would rather sell to Juve, strengthen Juventus, strengthen their own, than strengthening an Arsenal, than strengthening a Chelsea, than strengthening a Manchester United. But if Bologna are willing to go against that principle, if they're willing to go against the norm, if they're willing to go against the custom, and they're telling Juventus straight to the face, we are not selling to you, we are going to prefer to sell abroad, then that is where Arsenal have a massive advantage on this deal. Obviously, Fabrizio still believes that Chelsea are very big contenders, but I think, again, the common theme that we have seen with Chelsea this summer, they're not willing to splash a lot of money, ridiculous amounts of money on players. If they think you're not worth 50 million, they will not splash 50 million on you. It comes from the fact that they have a new sporting director. They have a new hierarchy in terms of doing transfers, and they have a new manager as well. I think they're trying to to run a proper project. So Arsenal and Chelsea could actually tussle out with Liverpool. I think Liverpool will always be there. They'll try to send in a wide, right? Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Those are the three clubs, if you exclude Juventus, that Ricardo Calafiori might go to. I think Liverpool would stand a very good chance, but I don't see them spend 60 million on a centre back. I don't see them spend 60 million on Ricardo Calafiori. Chelsea are the ones that I can see, do the crazy things they always do. They'll go out there and they'll try to spend the money on Ricardo Calafiori. But I think Arsenal have a better project. So our project versus Chelsea's project for Ricardo Calafiori, he's 100% going to choose Arsenal. There's no question about that. So that update right today in the morning is a very, very important one. Giovanni Sartori, the technical director at Bologna, confirming that they don't think he will end up joining Juventus. Probably he will go abroad if they decide selling. And at the moment, there is nothing more than that. A couple of outlets are saying that the situation is expected to develop quickly. Yes, it's expected to develop quickly. Arsenal, in one of the things we know, Arsenal want to get deals done quickly, especially before the 30th of July or 31st of July. But also now that our preseason starts on the 21st of July, I expect at least 2 signings to be done before before the 21st of July, before we get into preseason. So I won't be surprised to see Mikel Arteta get his left back, and I won't be surprised to see Mikel Arteta get his midfielder or get his striker before the 21st of July. So that is a story. Like I said, anything that develops around that one, I'll be the first person to let you know, because I'm really closely, following it. I'm really, really closely looking at that Calafiori deal. Now, Fabrizio Romano. For Victor Gyökeres, Sporting still want the release clause. which is 100 million euros, right? This is an expensive deal at the moment, and this is why Arsenal have shown interest in recent months, but at the moment are still not advancing. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We're going to talk about Victor Gyökeres, but also going to talk about Victor Osimhen. I've told you before, and I'm going to say it again. I think Victor Gyökeres is above Victor Osimhen in terms of the pecking order at Arsenal. The price, Arsenal don't agree with the price. They don't want to pay 100 million for Victor Gyökeres, and they think the price will come down. But Gyökeres is in a higher pecking order when it comes to Arsenal than Osimhen, because Osimhen has discipline issues, Osimhen has injury issues, and Osimhen has character and mentality issues that Mikel Arteta would rather not deal with. That's why I think Gyökeres is a player that Arsenal would rather go for. So Fabrizio Romano confirms that Arsenal are therefore trying to sign Gyökeres, but the price has to first come down. And he says that Sporting at the moment still want that release clause to be triggered, which is a package of 100 million euros. This is an expensive deal for Arsenal at the moment, and that's why they have shown interest in recent months, but are not progressing at the moment. That's why the deal is not advancing. Fabrizio also says that we know that sometime in the market the price can change. In June you have a price, and then in July and in August it can change. For both Gyökeres and Osimhen, the situation is quite interesting. Let's see what Arsenal will decide to do. Okay. Confirmed, first and foremost. They are the two we are looking at. They are the two we are looking at. When I said, when I talked about Osimhen and Gyökeres yesterday, I told you that I don't think that we are looking at other strikers. God, thank you, God, for Arsenal not getting Benjamin Sesko. Because Benjamin Sesko yesterday had a glorious opportunity to put Slovenia through to the quarterfinals of the Euros. A 1v1, no defender is chasing him. He didn't have a defender chasing him. It was only him and the goalkeeper, and he produced one of the worst finishes I've ever seen in world football. Actually, I'm going to say this. Benjamin Sesko has been the worst striker at the Euros. Honestly. Okay, I mean, we've had Rasmus Hojlund, who has been pretty much atrocious. But no, Benjamin Sesko has been the worst striker at the Euros. He's been the worst striker at the Euros. So I'm really glad and I'm really happy that he rejected Arsenal and decided to stay at RB Leipzig. Good God, that would have been a disaster. That would have been a disaster of a signing. And I told you right from the start. Many people said, Cossy, you don't know what you're talking about. He's the good player. What? I didn't see any reason, footballing wise, apart from the profile of the player, he can wait on the bench, all that kind of crap. I didn't see any footballing reason why Arsenal were trying to sign Benjamin Sesko. I didn't see, I don't see him as the player that is ready to deliver here and now, right here and now. And in that Slovenia game, everyone, in the Slovenian stands is waiting for their striker, their number 9, to hit the back of the net, and he produces one of the worst finishes. But when you tell him to pass the ball, he doesn't want. He wants to be striking the ball with a lot of power outside the penalty area, hitting balls high up, high in the air. Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, Osimhen and Gyökeres, those are the two Arsenal are trying to get. And the situation is still very, very interesting and complicated according to Romano. But Arsenal will decide what to do, especially when it comes to the price. Now, the striker situation is one that will not be resolved at Arsenal quickly. I don't think Arsenal are going to wake up tomorrow or the 3rd or the 4th of July and we have agreed a deal to sign Victor Gyökeres, or we have signed Osimhen. I don't think it's going to happen that quickly. And the reason as to why it's not going to develop that quickly, think about it in this way. Arsenal at the moment have far better pressing priorities than signing a striker. Kai Havertz is going to be our number 9 for the moment. I hope he doesn't be our number 9, because I've seen him for Germany as well, getting good chances. If you want to see how good a player is, there are two things you do. One, You place him in a team that is not as good, as very good. Secondly, you place him in a team that is actually very good. So for Kai Havertz, in Germany, he's playing with seamless talent, and he's also an absolute joke of a talent, by the way. But in terms of finishing, German have exposed Kai Havertz, because for German, Cruz is creating, Gundogan is creating, Musiala is creating, Florian Vaz is creating, Jonathan Tah is creating. You have this guy in midfield. What's his name? What's his name? Alongside Cruz. Just forgotten his name. One of the best players at the Euros, really. How can I forget him? All those players are creating chances. And Niklas Füllkrug, who has not been starting games for German, right? Füllkrug is not starting games for German, has the same number of goals as Kai Havertz, and Kai Havertz has scored 2 penalties at the Euros, and he has missed glorious sitters. When I say Arsenal need a number 9, that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. But of course, I think Mikel Arteta is still going to use him as a 9. I think he still sees him as the player that he wants to develop into striker. I don't see Arsenal really rush. I wouldn't see Arsenal as a club that are really going to rush to go and get a new number 9. So the number 9 situation is going to develop slowly but surely. Arsenal know that eventually these clubs want to find a buyer. Osimhen's position, he's leaving Napoli 100%. That's confirmed. He's leaving Napoli. Wherever he goes, I'm not saying he's 100% joining Arsenal, but he 100% wants to join Arsenal, 100% wants the Premier League, and 100% he's leaving. Make of that what you wish. With Gyökeres, Sporting might feel they could keep him for 1 more year and attract more interest next summer. Probably they might feel that next summer, maybe a Liverpool will have made their decision on Darwin Núñez. Maybe Man United will have discovered that Rasmus Hojlund is one of the worst Premier League strikers we have at the moment. It's not that bad, really. Maybe clubs will be willing to spend more money on Gyökeres next summer. But Arsenal are not under any pressure. Arsenal are not under any influence to go and agree a deal for a striker. Actually, this is a market where I see Arsenal do all the deals: goalkeeper, left back, midfielder, winger, and towards the end of the window, 30th of August or 31st. Do we have 31st of August? 30th. That's when Arsenal agree a deal for a striker. It's got to calm down a little bit. Arsenal have made it very clear they're not going to overpay. They're not going to pay these ridiculous prices that these clubs are quoting. 100 million for Gyökeres, Arsenal are not going to pay that. 100 million and 120 million euros for Osimhen, Arsenal made it clear they're not going to pay that, right? So at the moment, your boys, Osimhen, and your boys, Gyökeres, are not signing for Arsenal until those prices come down. Now, what is interesting from Fabrizio is this. He says that is why the deal is not advancing. That is why the deal is not advancing. So Arsenal have collected information on Gyökeres' deal. We know that. Arsenal have been interested in Gyökeres for a long time, and they have scouted him since January. We know that. So the question was, why haven't we advanced yet? And Fabrizio says it's because of the price. It's because Sporting are unwilling to change their stance on the player's price. That's why the deal is not advancing. Now, I'll explain to you why Sporting are not willing to drop their price right now. So if you're Sporting Lisbon, there is no reason and there is no point in you dropping your price right now. Before the Euros, many clubs are still not going to do many signings before the end of the Euros. Why? Because you think about players like Nico Williams, you think about talents that we have seen. Maybe Adagula could go on loan, All these players are going to be on a move somewhere somehow. So clubs are going to wait until the end of the Euros, until it is the the calm after the storm, for them to go, for them to go in and say, now we have identified Gyökeres as the best option. At the moment, the Euros is still overshadowing a lot of things. It's only Arsenal and maybe Man United and a couple of other, few clubs like Man City that want to get their deals done quickly and prepare for the new season, that are going to start doing much of their business before the end of the Euros. But before that, most of the clubs are actually going to wait until after the Euros. So let's talk about that 100 million, shall we? 120 million euros on Osimhen? No, please. No, please. Like, there is no way I would be willing to splash 120 million euros of hard-earned money, of players sweating, in the UEFA Champions League, on Victor Osimhen. No, please. Now, he's a good striker. I rate him. I like him. No, please. 120 million euros on Osimhen? No chance. 100 million euros on Victor Gyökeres. We have a problem on the market. We have a problem in the market. And that problem is that clubs have to pay the prices that have been set in the past for players that they're signing in the future, or that they're signing in the present and in the future. For example, when you think about the Darwin Núñez deal, it cost Liverpool around 82 million pounds, somewhere in that region. And all Portuguese clubs are now singing the same song. He's better than Darwin Núñez, and therefore we want top money for him. We want top dollar for him. We want him to go for the same amount as Darwin Núñez or even more. So you find yourself that you're not paying 100 million because the club value their player at 100 million. You're paying 100 million because the club are 100% looking at their asset as the next Darwin Núñez, the next Di Maria, the next Kylian Mbappe, the next Declan Rice. I'm telling you, the next world-class midfielder that Arsenal sign, he's going to be more expensive than Declan Rice. Mark my words. The next world-class midfielder that Arsenal try to sign, he will be more expensive than Declan Rice. If we went in for a player like Bruno Guimaraes right now, he will be more expensive than Declan Rice, because Newcastle think if you paid 105 million for Declan Rice, why don't you give us 105 million, 0.5 for Bruno Guimaraes? If you want to sign a player like Pedri right now, Barcelona are going to be quoting like 110 million. If you want to sign a player like who else? Who else is world class? I think it's Pedri and Bruno J, right? So these prices do not actually reflect how much Sporting and Napoli value their players. They are reflecting what the market standard is. And I don't think Arsenal should be paying 100 million for Victor Gyökeres because it is market standard. We should be paying 100 million for Gyökeres because we believe he is worth 100 million. The way we did it with Declan Rice, we believed he was worth 105 million pounds, and therefore we paid it and eventually got the deal done. The same thing we did with Ben White, the same thing we did with David Raya, the same thing we did with Martin Odegaard. If a player is worth that amount, pay it up. I don't have a problem with Arsenal paying 100 million for Messi. I don't have a problem with Arsenal paying 200 million for Cristiano Ronaldo. But I have a problem with Arsenal paying 100 million for Victor Gyökeres. It is too much. It is overpriced. It is overrated. The market needs to be fixed, guys. It needs to be fixed. So that price for me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no. It's a no-brainer. It's a no. It's a no. It's a no. I wouldn't pay, and I wouldn't be willing to part with 100 million for him, for Victor Gyökeres. The maximum amount of money Arsenal should pay for Victor Gyökeres should be 80 million pounds. 80 million euros, actually. 80 million euros. Right? That's around, 70 million pounds. Around there. I think, to be honest, that's a fair price. Right? That's a very, very, very fair price. Other than that, I think we're being cheated. Other than that, I think we are overpaying for Gyökeres. With Osimhen, I don't even know how to value him, but I would say 80 million pounds. With Gyökeres, 80 million euros. That is what these players are really truly worth. And if you're going to throw in some more money because of the market, if you're going to throw in some more money because because the market standard is that, then 85 million euros or 90 million euros for Gyökeres, which will be around 80 million, which will be around 75 million pounds. I don't see why clubs are going for 100 million euros for Gyökeres because he had two good seasons. Not really, and I think he's a top talent, and I think he's a very good striker, and I think he's got so many interesting attributes about his game. But I mean, we shouldn't overrate them. We shouldn't overrate them. And I think at the moment, some of these players, however much they are good, however much they are really, really interesting talents, I think they are overrated and they are overpriced. Moses, good morning. Kai is lazy. Plus Osimhen. Kai Havertz is too lazy. And it says, please, Osimhen is to treat any defender as compared to Gio and Kai. Kai is too lazy. I don't think Kai Havertz is too lazy. Now, I'm going to say this. I think many people don't understand Kai Havertz's job and role. If you want to understand his role, I want you to go to and watch that interview that Ange Postecoglou has done. Not an interview, really. He was doing a kind of a match reaction, during this Euro period, and he was talking about Kai Havertz, and he says a very interesting part. He says Kai Havertz is very hard to evaluate because you cannot easily pigeonhole him to one position. I don't think he's lazy. Actually, I don't. It's not that I don't think Kai Havertz is not lazy. Kai Havertz is one of the best pressers in world football. Like in terms of winning the ball back, chasing, right? I think he's just an intelligent player who prefers to save his energy rather than blast. Blast in terms of running and doing all that kind of crazy stuff. I don't think he's a lazy player. I think you're misjudging him. You're really misjudging him. So if you want him to run the way Odegaard runs, basically doesn't do that. And not every player runs like Odegaard does. Look at Jorginho. Jorginho, is he lazy? No. But does Jorginho run the way Partey does? No, he doesn't. And they play in the same role. So Kai is not lazy. We've just got to understand his game. And I think many of us don't. Shadrach says, hey, man, Osimhen is not the player. We should go for Gyökeres. Gyökeres is the one. Okay. Again, there is a very, very small line between those two. Emma says, for me, what I need is who can back up Saka. Okay. I mean, I think that's something that we'll see developing over the coming weeks. Isaac says, I saw we signed an academy player, watched him, and I think he's actually good. If you're talking about Lucas Nigard, he's actually good. He did have his first training pictures already on the Arsenal website. You can go and watch these pictures and probably a few videos as well. He's good. He's very, very good. And of course, Arsenal do good scouting these days. We do very good scouting. As Isaac says, it seems like an eternity. I miss Arteta ball. I really miss club football, but I'm not going to lie. The Euros have taken very good care of me. I'm not hungry for football. I'm just hungry for club football. But in terms of hungry for football, not really. The Euros have been very, very entertaining, top level football. Emma says, I don't think Arsenal is going to sign in number 9. Could still happen. Mother says Osimhen is what Arsenal need to commit City fully. Please go and get him quickly. Roland says, hi Cossy, to be honest, I'm a Nigerian, but I won't buy the idea of Arsenal signing to Arsenal. Then Victor Gyokeres, for me, Victor Gyokeres is the answer. Many Nigerians are not sold onto the idea of Osimhen signing for Arsenal. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why, but I don't know. I mean, why are Nigerians not interested in Osimhen coming close to Arsenal? Asema says, okay, thank you. That's a good one. And then Casey says, thanks, Cossy. We need at least 2 players should be in for medicals in our team. You know, deals take some time, but eventually they progress and you get them done. Moses says, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, Moses. Morgan says, great work, bro. Thanks for your services. Osimhen, I see him as a missing article in our forward line. Now, I want to say this. When Arsenal decided to sign a forward line player, it is said that there was a cross cutting, um how should I call it? There was a cross-cutting consensus or an agreement around Arsenal that we missed something next last season, especially in the big games. So there was a feeling around the Arsenal dressing room, coaches and backroom staff, that Arsenal needed someone with a bit of a better killer instinct, the way Bayern have Ken, the way Barcelona have Lewandowski, the way Madrid have now taken Kylian Mbappe, and that actually brings me to this. It is not necessarily that Arsenal have to sign your traditional number 9 for them to have a killer instinct. Kylian Mbappe has the best killer instinct I've seen over a player under 25, and Kylian Mbappe is not your traditional Olivier Giroud number 9 or Niklas Füllkrug. So Arsenal could as well decide to go and sign a player who is not necessarily a traditional 9, but has that killer instinct, and he can change a game, and he can turn a game on its head, right? So I want us to be very clear. Arsenal want to sign a forward. It is not just that they want to sign a traditional number 9. How far with Osimhen? That's Asema. Mwene says, for me, Gyökeres, Victor Gyökeres, Kimmich, Nico Williams, and Onana would be the good deals. I'm not sure on Onana. I'm not really sure on Onana. Good morning to you, Asema. Moses says, did we need defense? Yes, but we should first go for Osimhen, Nico Williams, Kimmich, and then maybe Ricardo Calafiori. If you've seen Mikel Arteta and you've followed him for a while, you know how he works as a manager. He wants to get in defenders first. He wants to strengthen defense, then he strengthens the midfield, then he strengthens the attack. That's Mikel Arteta for you. Nasil says Raya. Yeah, Raya is a done deal. Osimhen, okay, Eze, and then Calafiori in that order. Moses says, for me, we need Nico Williams, Osimhen, and Kimmich. I mean, one of the things we are agreeing on here is that Arsenal don't need very, very many signings, like 10 signings, 15 signings. We don't need that. We don't need like even 5. I think if we're going to talk about a new goalkeeper, we're going to talk about the new goalkeeper that Arsenal are linked with. That is Garcia. But if Arsenal keep Ramsdale, then Joan Garcia might not even be necessary, right? If Arsenal can keep Ramsdale, it means that we just sign a left back, a midfielder, and maybe one forward player or 2. So we might need around 3, maximum 4 signings this summer. And next summer, we might even need 1 signing, right? We might even need 1 signing next summer. So bit of good news. Hit the like button, people. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much for engaging in the comment box below as well. Okay, Gennaro says we need Johan Bakayoko. I wouldn't take Johan Bakayoko before Williams. Williams comes first. Robert says, hi Cossy, I think Gyökeres is better for the Arsenal project than Osimhen because of his because of his mentality and behavior reasons. That's true. That is true. Osimhen has not really given himself a very good umbrella, when it comes to discipline wise. I don't think he has. And then Lonkare says, I wish we could have a striker of 1 chance, 1 goal like RVP. Was RVP a 1 chance, 1 goal striker? He wasn't. You're lying. Robin van Persie was not a 1 chance, 1 goal striker. Robin van Persie had his best season. He had his best season was his last season, right? And in that season, I could say he was a 3 chance, 1 goal striker. He wasn't a 1 goal, one chance, 1 goal striker. The 1 chance, 1 goal strikers we have seen are Robert Lewandowski. Robin van Persie has never come close to Lewandowski in terms of scoring goals. He's never, ever come close to him. Never. I don't think he will ever come close to him in terms of being that finisher, that number 9. Never, ever. So I think the 1 chance, 1 goal guy we had at Arsenal was Thierry Henry. Yeah, I think it was Thierry Henry. In terms of conversion, it was Thierry Henry. It's not Robin van Persie. I don't think Robin van Persie was a 1 chance, 1 goal guy. No. Prince says, as long as we want to get Osimhen at 120 million, let's consider FFP. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You can't go for Osimhen at 120 million. You can't. Gogo says, hello, Cossy. I believe that Osimhen will not be the solution to the striker situation for a couple of reasons. Gyökeres will be more than a team player, but then what do we do with Kai Havertz? Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. But I think with Kai Havertz, the beauty with him is you can play him as a roam Deuter. You can play him like Thomas Muller, 2 up top, but him being the support striker. But then you can also drop him in midfield, like we have seen a couple of times when Niklas Füllkrug comes on for Germany, and then he drops into midfield. Of course, Blessed Unique says, I don't think Arteta will bench Kai. Don't see that happening too. Gyökeres is better, says Yusuf. Morgan says 100 million, not necessary. We go for him at 80 million. I mean, it depends if the club is willing to let him go at 80 million. I hope our club will do the needful. Arsenal already doing the needful, really. Hamed says, good morning, Cossy from Nigeria. Osimhen is one of the best. Okay, let's talk about the new goalkeeper, Yohan Garcia. So the Athletic have picked up on the story. Remember when I told you that this is a story that will be very interesting if a bigger publication pick it up? Now, the Athletic have picked it up. They're saying there's been little movement on Aaron Ramsdale's future, but if he's to leave, then one man who features high on the contingent plan to replace him is Espanyol's Yohan Garcia. The Spaniard is reported to have a 25 million euro release clause. It's euros, not pounds. Interesting. And is likely a likely target should Arsenal need to recruit competition for David Raya. Now, this story was broken around 4 days ago, if you remember, when I reported about it. It was broken 4 days ago by was it Matt Moretto? I think by Matt Moretto. And he came out and said that Gerard Romero. It was broken by Gerard Romero. I was trying to search for his name in my head. It was broken by Gerard Romero. Very credible journalist, by the way, when it comes to Spanish news. And he said Yohan Garcia was a future Arsenal player. He said it, and he kind of left it there, but he said he was a future Arsenal player. Now, the Athletic have picked up on that story, and they're saying that it depends on Aaron Ramsdale, but if Ramsdale moves on, then Arsenal are going to go and sign Yohan Garcia. Now, Ramsdale's situation at Arsenal is complicated. There are not so many clubs that are actually trying to sign him, and there is a lot of goalkeepers on the market. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of goalkeepers on the market. Juventus wanted a goalkeeper. They have one. I think they signed one from Spain. There is Mamadashvili. He's available. Then you have Ramsdale available. Then you have you have this Burnley goalkeeper, the young Burnley goalkeeper, Trafford. He's available. You have so many goalkeepers on the market. There is a variety of goalkeepers, and what that does is it hinders Arsenal from getting somewhere to sell Aaron Ramsdale. We have set a 30 million asking price. But to be honest, Ramsdale is not like Mamadashvili. He's not like Mamadashvili, really. No. So if he's not at that level, And Mamadashvili is going to cost around 40 million euros or maybe 45 million euros. Then it shows you that Arsenal are going to really struggle to move Aaron Ramsdale on. Now, in terms of the player, in terms of his preference, I think Ramsdale has already made it clear. He wants to leave Arsenal. He doesn't want to hear anything about staying. But what do Arsenal do? Do we send him out on loan? That might be a good option. Send him out on loan to a club where he's going to play a lot of football, and then maybe if he does well, they can sign him. Alternatively, Arsenal can lower their asking price for Aaron Ramsdale. But for me, that is not an option. I've already said, and I'll say it again. Ramsdale is a 30 million goalkeeper plus. Any club that is willing to sign Ramsdale, in their bank account, they should be willing to sign off a check that is going to credit them 30 million and above. Like, if you don't have 30 million for Ramsdale, walk away. Humbly, straight away, walk away. It is not shameful for you not to be able to afford one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League. We will understand you don't have the money, walk away. So the Joan Garcia deal becomes complicated for a reason. Aaron Ramsdale is not going to willingly join any club. So you're not going to send him to League Two, League One, not really. He's going to have to choose a club that is going to give him game time. That's number one. He's not going to be number two after already being number two to David Raya. Secondly, he'll want a club in the Premier League. He'll want a club that's going to play at the top level, because that is where he's going to get enough attention from Gareth Southgate if he stays as England manager, or from the England scouts and the England bosses. So the Joan Garcia deal is again one that I would see Dragon. The fact that the Athletic have reported about it means that there is something there, right? There is something there. But I don't think Arsenal are going to sign Joan Garcia and David Raya and then have them with Aaron Ramsdale. It's Aaron Ramsdale to leave first, and then Arsenal get a new goalkeeper. So the faster we can move on Ramsdale, the quicker we get Joan Garcia. And I'm not going to lie, Ramsdale's deal from Arsenal is going to take some time. It is not going to be one of those easy ones where you just wake up in the morning and he's gone. We're going to have to explore the market. We're going to explore a couple of options. He's not the best ball-playing goalkeeper. That means that there are a couple of clubs he wouldn't play for, especially in Spain. But he's also a very good shot-stopping goalkeeper. He's a very, very top-level shot-stopper. That means that clubs that are looking to stay in the Premier League, position 10 to position 20, they're going to be very much interested in him. Now, a couple of people who think that Ramsdale might not have suitors, I think they'll be there. It's just going to be very difficult to agree a deal with them. Like, when I think about Arsenal's demands for Ramsdale, I'm like, this is going to drag on. This is going to take some time before we can actually get it done. Okay. Dominic says Victor Gyökeres to be our next number 9. That's what you want. Dominic says, good morning, bro. I love your updates. I'm watching from Dubai. Interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the people in Dubai. You can buy a super chat to show appreciation for the channel. That is very much appreciated, by the way. Hussein says Mikel Arteta should learn how to rotate players effectively without compromising quality. I think that is something that I was talking to Glenn yesterday, and I told him, in terms of rotating players, Mikel Arteta is a 0 out of 10. Like, if I was to grade Mikel Arteta's rotation skills and rotation habits, he's a 0 out of 10. No question. Like a straight 0 out of 10. Straight 0 out of 10. So, I agree with you there. He needs to do better. Arsenal, Mr. Cossy might not sign a number 9, says Gennaro. I wish we could have, we get a striker in the Premier League like those of Ivan Toney or Oli Watkins. Whose comment was that? That's Chalalo. He says, would love to have a Premier League proven striker. The problem with Premier League proven strikers is this: they're either too expensive and not available, or they are overrated and you don't want to sign them. So when you look at Julian Alvarez, too expensive, like not attainable. When you think about Ivan Toney, too overrated. When you think about Watkins, too expensive, you can't get him, right? When you think about Zolanke, overrated. I think with Ivan Toney, there is a mix of underrated there. Maybe not very overrated, but there is a mix of, you know, overrated in terms of the price. And then Arsenal don't like him. Arsenal have some parts of his game that they don't like. But I would also want to get a Premier League striker. I think it would be quite interesting. Now, Arsenal are still pushing for Jules Koundé. According to publication Sport, Barcelona have asked for time before giving an answer to Arsenal regarding the inquiry for Jules Koundé. If Ronald Araujo stays at Barca, the club will be open to negotiating with Arsenal for Jules Koundé. However, it's clear, Koundé will not leave for less than 60 million euros. What are we thinking about Koundé, guys? What are we thinking about Koundé? Do Arsenal need Jules Koundé? No, we don't need Jules Koundé. Top level centre back, plays at right back, one of the best players at the Euros, best right back at the Euros right now. Arsenal don't need you. And that is how, when I hear people blabber and where I hear people waffle a lot of Arsenal don't have players, Arsenal don't sign players, Arsenal don't make signings. Right now, I'm seated on a stream talking to you people saying Arsenal don't need Jules Koundé. Like, when did that last happen? When did we last have a squad where, like, a player like Koundé, we don't need Koundé? And we don't need Koundé, that's the truth. Because with Ben White, with William Saliba, with Tomiyasu, with Julian Timber, we've got enough cover for right back and right centre back. We don't need Jules Koundé. And 60 million euros on Jules Koundé? Are you kidding me? Is it a joke? 60 million on Jules Koundé? That must be a joke. There's no way Arsenal should be paying 60 million euros for a player we don't need right now. I think our problems are very clear. Arsenal need to sign a player on the left-hand side of defense. No more than that. No more than that. So I wouldn't say Arsenal should go and sign Jules Koundé. No. It's enough for me. Koundé is enough for me, right? Is enough for me. Thank you so much for joining me live this morning. Hit the like button if you've not yet. Let's get this video to 350 likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Subscribe to the channel if you're not new, but you've not subscribed yet. And I'll speak to you right in the next one.